I'm Domingo.
And we have important news on Channel 10.
The Syrian civil war is the deadliest conflict the 21st century has ever seen.
And this continues to get worse and worse. Domingo, would you mind elaborating more on the conflict in Syria?
Sure thing. Lately in Syria, there have been a few peaceful protests that have erupted over there, but there were consequences for those protests.
Such as 15 boys being detained and tortured because they haven't written graffiti in support of the Arab Spring.
The Syrian government, led by Bashar al-Assad, responded to these protests by killing hundreds of demonstrators and imprisoning hundreds more.
We currently have the biggest refugee crisis in America, with over 10,000 Syrians being accepted into the country, which would also be the biggest refugee crisis in America since World War II.
Today we have 2 Syrian refugees who have witnessed this war firsthand, and they are going to come out and talk about this.
Hi, we are broadcasting from Chula, California, and Zoe is going to tell us about the Syrian civil war.
Thank you for having me on the show. Earlier this month, I escaped from Aleppo, Syria, where the Syrian army rummaged through my town and my home. My father was killed and my little sister was captured, and we still don't know what happened to her.
I'm so sorry to hear about that. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about the Syrian civil war?
We really just need to do something about this. Every day there are hundreds of people dying, and it's just awful. All the people that are dying are innocent and usually are just peaceful protesters. We need to find a way to remove Bashar al-Assad from being our leader.
We're going on a quick commercial break, and when we come back, my co-anchor will introduce the other refugee we have.
Just at home, sitting in your backyard, you know something really cheesy to snack on that just makes you just want to flip so bad. You can have that now with Doritos, nacho cheese, family style. Good, Frankie. Good boy.
Mom!
What? For life's bleachable moment.
We are back and with the other Syrian refugee, Grace. Would you like to tell us about your experience in Syria?
Honestly, it's traumatizing out there. There is dead people laying in the streets. You can walk around a corner and watch people get murdered. It's just crazy.
What do you think of your leader, Bashar al-Assad?
He is a terrible leader of our country. He and his father were both the reason of the downfall of this country. He became the leader back in 2000, and everything spiraled downhill from there. Pro-democracy protests erupted in March 2011 in the southern city of Daraa after the arrest and torture of some teenagers who painted revolutionary slogans on a school wall. After security forces opened fire on demonstrators, killing several, more took to the streets. Violence escalated and the country descended into civil war as rebel brigades were formed to battle government forces to control of cities, towns, and the countryside. Fighting reached the capital, Damascus, and the second city of Aleppo in 2012.
Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I've said all I wanted to.
Today, you can help an innocent animal find a new home.
Speak.
Frankie! Go 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 Frankie!
The very long-awaited. What is heard to be the comedy of the century. I will now play a video to sum up everything that we have just talked about today.
Half a decade of uninterrupted violence, 370,000 deaths, and more than 11 million people displaced from their homes. That's like the entire state of Ohio, and there's no end in sight. Syria devolved from peaceful demonstrations opposing an authoritarian regime in 2011 to a full-blown civil war. It's seen the rise of the Islamic State and outside superpowers drawn into the carnage. The result? The biggest humanitarian crisis in the world. So here's the situation. Since 1966, the Alawite minority, an offshoot of Shiite Islam, have been in power in Syria. This despite the fact that Alawites represent just 12% of the Syrian population. The Sunni Muslim population, however, represents around 60%. The current president, Bashar al-Assad, an Alawite, took over in 2000 after the death of his father, Syria's longtime ruler, Hafez al-Assad. Cut to 2011 and the Arab Spring. The world watched as uprisings in Tunisia and Egypt quickly toppled their respective dictators. Inspired by these events, Syrians took to the streets to protest the oppressive rule of Bashar al-Assad. But instead of stepping down, Assad violently crushed the peaceful uprisings using tanks, artillery, and gunships. Many of the protesters responded by arming themselves. That's when the conflict took on a sectarian nature. Sunnis from other parts of the Middle East, like the Saudis, threw their backing behind the rebels. Shiites, like the Iranians, gave their support to the regime. Meanwhile, the jihadists of the Islamic State, which used the turmoil to seize territory, attacked both sides. Then there are major powers like the US and Russia. After a poison attack in 2013, the US and Russia cooperate to get UN inspectors to destroy Syria's known chemical weapons. But in general, the two powers have skewed in very different directions over this war. Simply put, the US is against Assad and Russia supports him. Russia has used its UN Security Council veto repeatedly to protect the regime. Both countries are actively fighting inside Syria against Islamic State and an al-Qaeda spin-off in the name of combating terrorism. But Russia uses the terrorist tag to bomb other groups opposing Assad, including rebels supported by the US and its allies. Finally, there are the Syrian civilians in the middle of all of this. Devastated by the fighting and destruction, Syrians are fleeing by the millions into neighboring countries, straining resources and creating a global refugee crisis. Now here's the argument. The US and Russia agree on the need to end the war, but not on how. For years, the US has insisted Assad must go, but has since softened its stance on the dictator in the interest of the broader fight against the Islamic State. Meanwhile, Russia says it wants to keep Syria sovereign and independent by backing Assad. Several efforts to resolve the conflict through negotiations have failed. Neither side has had enough of an advantage in this war to get the other to compromise on terms for peace, nor has either been willing to do so for the sake of Syria.
That concludes our daily broadcast for today on Channel 10 News. Thank you for watching.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Dad, don't talk in this.
Did you get that? Today we will be talking about the Syrian civil war that has been going on for 6 years that has taken more than 300,000 lives. All because an anti-regime regime.
The breaking me.
I don't like this part.
You got 3 words in, and you already started to laugh.
And they're going to talk about their experience.
Serious,
Shut up!
Sorry.
Come on,
I'm so sorry.
Stop!
This is how I felt about you.
Are you ever just sitting at home on a swing, really hungry, and you just want a snack that makes you flip? You can have that. Mom!
What?
I gotta go pee. Mom!
Hi. My name's Andrew.
And I'm Domingo.
We have Grace!
How does it mean?
I saw Zoe
Alright, ready?
Talking about the Syrian civil war that has been going on for 6 years that has taken more than 300,000 lives. All because I was being serious. Oh my god.
Why, Grace? Why should I?